Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? Good? Awesome. When I came in, Renu had asked me if I was nervous. I said I didn't sleep well last night. She asked me if I was nervous, and I said, no, I'm not nervous. It's just the first night in the hotel. But now that I'm here, I'm a little bit nervous. And it's not so much nervous about presenting, because I do that quite often. It's nervous because I want this to be good for you, and I want it to be effective and useful for the VIs that you're training. So I think that's where my nerves come from. It's just the care and hope that it's going to be what you hope for. I had said in the email that I sent out to you that the training would be like your VIs. So we're going to go through the training, and then once we're done the training, we can work through the manual, and you can ask me any questions about teaching and theory and tips and those sorts of things. But every now and then I'll point out how the slide might be a little bit different. So in this slide, in the introduction, this is where you, if you're teaching on Zoom, you'd make sure that everybody is feeling comfortable on Zoom, and they can see the PowerPoint, and they can see each other, and they know how to do the view and all that sort of stuff. And on this slide, you can replace the picture for where you are from. I have chosen a picture of Ottawa because that's where we are. I want to take a moment to just acknowledge that we're gathering here this morning on the territory of the Anishinaabe and the Algonquin Nation. And for me personally, doing a land acknowledgement is not just about the land, it's about my commitment to learning about truth and reconciliation. I have a lot to learn. And acknowledging the land acknowledges the history of trauma and the history of dispossession of Indigenous people in Canada. And we're all interpreters. I'm sure we've interpreted, a land acknowledgements. And I like to acknowledge the land that we're here on, and then here we go. But it's my commitment to learn more, because I think we all need to learn more and do our individual part towards truth and reconciliation. So welcome to Train the Trainer. It's finally here. I'm super excited. It's been a great project. The timelines have been tight, and I have really appreciated your cooperation. For the convo, I want to welcome Kirsty and Tedra, and from Assign, Carrie and Krista, and from Sive, we have, I only had Celine's name, oh no, Sive, wrong people. I had Bridget's name up there, and I didn't know that Cynthia would be here, so welcome Cynthia. And then, but now I have it right. Seth, we have Celine, and oh my goodness, Stephanie? Okay, good. So on this slide, you wouldn't do Welcome Train the Trainer, that looks pretty obvious. But put the names of the people that are attending your training, because when you acknowledge people's names, it makes them feel connected to the training, and makes them feel like they're valued. And so then you would also go through here, making sure that everybody feels comfortable. You feel comfortable, everybody's got their laptops, and some food and all of that. We're going to be together for 3 hours. We are going to have a 15-minute break, unlike the pilot. So sorry about that. And just that you're here and you're ready to learn. And readiness for people is different. And just to remember that some people take notes. Other people need to not take notes and just listen. Other people may need to use a fidget toy. And so very shortly we're going to talk about some expectations around being together, but just be mindful of differences. So just because somebody's sitting there and not doing what I would do, which is take a million notes, it doesn't mean they're not attending and engaged in the learning. So our learning focus. This is what we're going to do for the next 3 hours. We're going to talk about 988, call management, decision making, and self-care. And under 988, we're going to go through the guiding principles that the crisis responders will be following when they answer calls. We're going to talk about call flow, which is new from the pilot training because I got that information from CAMH. That's the Canadian Association of Mental Health. And we're going to talk about language use. For call management, we're going to talk about role space and some interpreting strategies. Interpreting strategies both for folks who are atypical language users and also in situations where there's heightened emotions. For decision making, we're going to go through some dilemmas, and the dilemmas came straight from the survey that was sent out to the VIs, and talk about the CAV policies that apply to those dilemmas, and then we're going to do a general review of CAV policies as they pertain to 911 calls, which is also what 988 calls will, how 988 calls will be handled. And then lastly, we're going to talk about self-care for the VIs, and talk about self-care both pre-call, during call, and post-call. So I mentioned that we're going to talk about just some expectations for being together here. So while I'm going through these, I want you to also think about what you might need to feel like this is a good learning environment. So first being respect. This is a shared learning space, and be mindful that everybody, as I mentioned, learns and engages differently. And to share the airtime, so there is going to be participation. And if you're somebody like me, you always have your hand up and you're always saying something. But there's other people who are not like that, and they're quiet and they listen and they need time to process before they actually respond to something. So just, before you put your hand up, if you've put it up a couple times, and maybe just look around the room and wait to give somebody else some time to do that. Everyone's input is valued, and this type of learning is socially constructed. And what that means is that we build off each other. We take somebody's idea and we can connect it to what we know or what we don't know. And then communication, this is your opportunity to learn just like it's everybody else's. And so communicate to be understood and make sure that you understand. And that may mean, like, I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're saying. And then just remember that we're working with interpreters, and I have not looked at Andrea once since I started to make sure that she's on board. I've given her full, she can like hit me or do whatever she needs to do. So confidentiality, stories are encouraged. There's new research coming out about the power of narrative pedagogy, and that as we share stories, we actually reflect on our practice. So share stories, but don't share them outside of here, and obviously be confidential. So I scroll up on my notes, sorry. And make sure that they're your stories. They're not a story that a little birdie told you or that you heard another interpreter talking about. That own your story and share it, and that the stories stay here, which I already mentioned. And then lastly, just being open to different perspectives. There's a huge range of right when we talk about interpreting. And so somebody's perspective or idea about something may not be yours, but it doesn't mean that it's wrong. And be open to vulnerability. So when we're talking about interpreting and our work, I think many of us have a hard time separating our work from ourselves. Most of us in this profession care a lot about what we do. And so just be mindful of talking about the work, and we're going to ask you to actually participate and give some sample interpretation when we talk about language use. So that can be vulnerable. The other vulnerability comes when you're learning new things. And if you've done something one way for a long time, and now I'm suggesting there's a different way to do something, it's another tool in your toolkit, that comes with some discomfort and vulnerability. So just being open to that. So anything else that you want to add in order for this learning space to be a good one for you? You good? about interpreting 988 calls, what comes to mind? I think I have the Mentimeter working this time. Okay, so you can take your phone and get the QR code. It might be too small there, so I'll try it from here. I should have explained what Mentimeter is. It's this great little program that is interactive. So when the QR code will pop up, it'll take you to a website link, and there'll be 3 spaces for you to add words in there for when you think about 988 calls, what do you feel? Is everybody good? You've got Mentimeter? Has anybody responded already? Because it says waiting for responses. You've already responded? Okay, maybe I didn't get Mentimeter working properly. I'm not connected to the internet. Oh, maybe I am. Maybe. Just a second. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, this is something. So now you've seen it has not worked twice for me, which is a little bit frustrating. I tested it out. Recently, made sure it worked, tested it out again this morning, it worked, now it's not working, I don't know why. So it might be something that you choose to do or not choose to do. The other option is that you can have people submit their responses in chat on Zoom. The idea was to create a word cloud. I'm just going to see quickly if I can pull that up. You know what, I'm not going to do that. It's going to take too much time to do that.
Denise, there was an option, Carrie said, to put in your email after you submitted your 3 responses. And it created a word cloud and sent it to Carrie so she could see it that way.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, when you put that in, the results will email to you.
It's not how it's supposed to work. It's supposed to show up here, but Carrie, can you tell me what words you see on that cloud?
Complex. Hi, there's quite a few words here. It's quite dense, actually. I can just show it to you, maybe?
So you know what you said, but there was, sorry, I'd like to move on this. What I saw in there quickly, I didn't look at them all, but I saw stress, anxiety, needs support. The whole point of this, and I don't know if you had time to read the Train the Trainer manual, but the point of this is to find out how the people that you're training are feeling and then weave that through the training. So as you talk about things later, you can say, you know, somebody mentioned that they're feeling anxiety. So this is a strategy that helps reduce anxiety. Or we're going to talk about stress and how to mitigate stress. Somebody said stress. So when people hear their own feelings and words reflected back to them, it also makes them feel valued. I'm going to figure out this darn Mentimeter one day. So now, if you had your workbook with you, if you're a VI, I would ask you to just take a moment to jot down what your 3 words were, and also there's a space to note what you noticed about the word cloud. You know, is the word cloud predominantly feelings related to fear and anxiety and stress? Or are there hopeful comments in there? People feeling confident, feeling, when I think about 988, I feel grateful that I'm able to provide access. So just to like an observation of what the word cloud looks like. So in the 4 learning focus, I didn't talk about demand control because demand control is an overlying framework that I chose to sort of put everything into, just to make it easy to talk about, to provide VIs with some more language to talk about their work. So how many of you have heard, if you hadn't taken the pilot training, how many of you knew about demand control schema? Okay. So a few, and a few more had not heard of it. That's okay. If you haven't heard of demand control schema, we're going to just, it's really simple. It's demands and controls. Going to go through it, and it's also woven throughout the training, just to have that language. And it's being used a lot in interpreter education programs now, and Dean and Pollard have written many, many articles where they've applied demand control to different settings, to medical, to mental health. I don't think they've done it with VRS. So I mentioned that it's simple. It's demands and controls. And so really demands are the call. Dean and Pollard call it the assignment. And controls are what the interpreter and what is happening with the interpreter. And demands are basically challenges. And so what is this call asking of me? And then the controls is how am I responding? What decisions am I making? So let's take a look at some of those demands. So there's 4 demands. There's environmental, interpersonal, paralinguistic, and intrapersonal. And Dean and Pollard have a really cute little mnemonic to help us remember that, and it's EIPIO, like, you know, the farm, Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O, but it's EIPIO. And I like to think of the O as like oh, or oh. So as we go through these, we learn some things about ourselves. So that's sort of the O part to me. So environmental are factors related to the setting. So VRS, callers can't see each other. Technology, we love technology. Mentimeter, not happy. And most people are in their home now with VRS work. Are there any other environmental demands that you can think of? Krista?
Audio, like audio connection, or the, just the connection in general, so video, audio.
Yeah, I think that's a specific technology one, but yeah, that is a challenge for sure. Carmel?
If you're in the home, your family, like people in the background,
Mhm.
you know, they make noise, something could come up and,
Yeah,
you know, but you're in your house.
yeah, for sure.
The unexpected. The unexpected.
The unexpected in the environment?
In the environment, power outages, brownouts, lightning, something happening, bird hitting the window as you're interpreting. There's so many unexpected things that just happen.
Yeah,
That's always kind of in the back of your mind, especially when you're on a call that's demanding as a 988 or a 911.
yeah. Yeah, that's a good one, thank you. Interpersonal. So interpersonal are factors related to the interaction. And the interaction is the interpreter, the deaf caller, and the hearing caller. We are part of that interaction. So the callers, that's up there. Also sociocultural differences when we think of 988 calls.
Sorry, we're like chatting here,
Oh,
but
oh,
I
that's
was
okay.
just wondering, because I thought that you would give us like a paper copy, so I didn't print it. And I'm taking notes, and yeah, I know that I can take notes on the PowerPoint, but I'm old fashioned and I prefer if I have a paper copy, so maybe Stephanie can ask the front desk if we can print it. Am I the only one? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I had, sorry, Celine, I had forwarded your email to Renew, but she had already left the office. So,
I couldn't, do you mind? Because I thought that
does anybody else want a paper copy? It's okay, I did it last night with one.
It's called 988.
So anybody else
I'm a
want a
bit
paper
overwhelmed
copy?
here, I don't have a paper copy and I just like dropped my coffee on the table,
No?
I'm sorry.
Okay. Thank you, Celine.
Sorry.
No, that's an important piece for your learning. So that's the expectation that you had and was unmet, so thank you. Okay, so going back to the interpersonal. Interpersonal is the callers. Oh, sorry, Cynthia?
Can I have a paper copy as well too, please?
How many?
I feel less bad.
I would like one too, Jody saying, so I can write down stuff. It would also help me figure
So
what's
the
going on.
presentation?
So there's three things that you might want a copy of. One is the PowerPoint with the speaker's notes, but I'm thinking you might be following along right now with that. The other is the Train the Trainer manual. That's the 3 columns with the little pictures, and then the 3 columns of what is the objective and teaching tips, learning theory, those sorts of things. And then the third one is the VI workbook. So maybe the manual and the workbook.
So these two,
Yeah.
we're waiting for the French.
I know, but
I don't,
It's
the training,
easier
the
to-
manual and the BI workbook. Or you want the PowerPoint?
Yeah.
So you're saying, I don't really need the workbook, maybe, but the Train the Trainer manual?
How many pages is it? I feel guilty about printing all of that stuff if we're not